2 minutes away from 10.
You're listening to the Radio Wammo Breakfast, only on Kiwi.
Well, joining me now in the Kiwi studio, author of a couple of books that have just come out, Tim Chadwick, Zephyrs and Zodiacs, A Kiwi Passion, and The Kiwi Trucker's Guide to Life, A Journey into the Heartland of New Zealand. Tim, good morning and welcome to the show.
G'day, Glenn. How are you?
Nice to see you. Come up from New Plymouth.
Yep, just grabbed a quick flight there. We're not far away, 45 minutes on the plane. Next minute you're in the hub of Auckland.
That's all right, isn't it? You didn't drive up in your Zephyr or Zodiac?
No, I don't actually have a Zephyr or Zodiac. I've got a Vauxhall Viva that I do cover some distance in sometimes.
What is it about the Zephyrs and Zodiacs? I mean, why is it so big in New Zealand? Why is it so huge?
I don't know. I think a real cult has sprung up around the Zephyr, probably in the 60s, even though they're around in the 50s. When you look at the competing cars against them, like the Vanguards and the Vauxhall Veloxes, they've just almost disappeared. But the Zephyr has kept on going, and we're talking about Ford in the pre-Falcon era.
Yeah.
So it was sort of your big luxury Ford to have a Zodiac, or if you're a big family, it was a status symbol to have a Zephyr. And guys went racing in them, and then of course, even further on, the gangs were driving around in them, and then they went beyond that into classic status.
Did they have a factory here or something? Were they assembled here?
Yeah, they were being built down in the Hutt Valley there. So in the Wellington region.
Did that make them cheaper at the time?
It made them more available because before that, the very early Mark I Zephyrs and Zodiacs, you could only buy in the sort of post-war austerity time. You could really only buy them if you had overseas funds. So once they were being assembled here in CKD or completely knocked down kits, I mean, Kiwi Ford fans were rejoicing back then.
I mean, you can have a lot of sort of romance looking back at sort of these cars, but I mean, how reliable were they? How good were they?
They were actually surprisingly very reliable. When you think that the very first Mark I was a post-war car, but when it arrived, it was actually well ahead of its time. All the Fords that were coming up to then had separate chassis. This was what they call a monocoque, or the whole car was, one structural chassis, McPherson strut suspension, and yet the motor was still very simple for mechanics to work on.
Yeah. So you went about finding owners of Zephyrs and Zodiacs around New Zealand. Obviously, they weren't too hard to find because there's so many. Not
hard to find at all. In fact, I mean, this book could have been turned into an encyclopedia of Zephyrs. Kiwis are that passionate about them that everybody in every town or village in New Zealand knows somebody who's got one tucked away in a shed, or who polishes it up and takes it for a drive, or even has stories to recall of an uncle or someone who had a crash in one or hot-rodded one.
Is it a certain type of person, or they come from all walks of life, the owners of these vehicles?
I think they're very down-to-earth, very genuine, friendly people. In fact, talking to one guy, the people who own the Zephyr on the cover, they've been involved in a lot of different car clubs over the years, and they find the Zephyr Club to be the friendliest they've ever belonged to.
Yeah.
And they just have get-togethers and have a great time.
And researching the book, did it involve turning up to show days or the carnivals?
Yeah, a few show and shines, and very proud people. They're down there polishing every nut and bolt, and very proud of their cars.
Yeah. Is there a particular one that stood out for you that you wouldn't mind driving away yourself?
I actually think the one in the Hawke's Bay, the name's slipped me there. The one in the Hawke's Bay, have I got time to have a quick flick through?
Oh,
here he is. Now, it's a Mark III Zodiac station wagon.
Yeah.
And that one's Barry and Janice Locke of the Hawke's Bay. Now, that Mark III Zodiac wagon in a sort of pearlescent sort of purple wine colour with the white vinyl, that is a superb looking motor car.
So if someone was a big fan of a Zephyr and Zodiac right now and they're listening, that you were talking sex right then, weren't you, basically?
Probably. I could feel a little bit of saliva on the corner of the mouth and twitches in places I shouldn't mention on the radio, but that's definitely how I feel about some of these cars.
Now, the other book that you've got out at the moment, so this is really kind of the soul of the country kind of stuff, really, isn't it? The other one you've got out at the moment is called The Trucker's Guide to Life, A Journey into Heartland, New Zealand. Now, I guess the basic premise behind this was catching up with truck drivers and finding out their passion and why they do what they do and why they enjoy the trucks that they drive.
Absolutely. I mean, for years I've been writing books for another company, and a lot of them were like snapshots of beautiful trucks and a little bit of information about them, but I actually wanted to not so much get inside the driver's head, which sounds more like a sociologist, but I just wanted to find out what made them tick, what their passions in life were beyond just their truck. And I found a lot of varied things, and I found that they're really down-to-earth people, love their country.
Aren't they all speed freaks?
Some of them are. There's a couple of speedway ones there that driving midgets, and one races Chrysler Valiants.
I'm talking drugs, though, of course.
Oh, well, okay. See,
that's the stereotype.
Yeah, okay, we see.
You know?
Some of them do live on a lot of coffee,
right?
But then there's others that are quite health freaks, and they'll just drink the water. Yeah, but no, they have to take special rest breaks these days. They don't do the long hours they used to. Even some of them want to, but they're not allowed to.
Because the trucks are a necessary thing, to keep the country moving, goods and services flowing and stuff. But they do get a bad rap, don't they? Sometimes for the either lifestyle or being road hogs or just misfits.
Yeah, well, they've had a bad rap from me at times. I've been out on the highway on my Vespa scooter, or and being tailgated by a truck, or I've been behind a truck going through the Awakino Gorge, thinking, "Oh, great, this is adding an extra sort of half hour to my journey to Auckland." But I do have to remember that they've got a job to get the goods through. And the other side of the coin, meeting them, they've had trouble with motorists that don't realise how much it takes to stop a truck, and even a truck travelling at the legal speed limit, and people will just pull out and tootle in front of the truck drivers, and they've got to haul on all these brakes.
It is pretty amazing the fact that a human body sitting inside this massive machine,
behemoth,
isn't it? And it all just seems to work together and chug along the road. Just quite extraordinary to be in control of something like that.
Yeah, I mean, once upon a time, growing up on farms and driving trucks is pretty much a steering wheel, a horn and a gear lever. These things now, they're all, a lot of them got electronic automatic gear shifts.
Yeah.
They've even got ice boxes to keep their food cool. Some of them have even got Xboxes that the young guys will lie in their sleeper cab and play a bit of Xbox for a break. That's true. Flat screen TVs in most of the big modern trucks.
Yeah, and no doubt amazing stereo systems.
Oh, incredible. Bose, all sorts, I'm not just shouting out their name for any reason, but they've got them well kitted out.
How much sort of leeway do most truck drivers have to personalise their trucks? Make them look good on the outside. Almost like aeroplanes in the Second World War. Painting little, mermaids on the side and stuff like that.
Yeah, it depends on the company, really. Some companies are quite strict that they, don't want their colours interfered with. Others like that. I think they realise the truck driver will have more pride in the truck if it is personalised. It's becomes part of them, so they're going to look after it. For instance, Eulenberg Haulage there in Eltham, they get to choose names for all their different trucks. Most trucks do have names. And talking to Mike Eulenberg, sort of the patriarch of that company, he just said they could name their trucks what they like as long as it wasn't something violent. He didn't want children to see violent imagery on the trucks or a feeling that the truck was aggressive. So a lot of humorous names.
So no shark teeth at the front.
No. I mean, there's a young guy, this is another generation again, driving for Eulenberg's old Jimmy Greenhoff there. His is called Optimus Prime, and it's got a transformer on it because he's grown up in the transformer generation. Yeah. So we're seeing a lot of really interesting personalised trucks out there. And
your background as an art teacher, I guess you'd appreciate some good looking artwork on the side of trucks.
Absolutely. I've always admired the artwork on the trucks and finding out the meanings, behind it, because they all do have a meaning. They don't just slap any old picture up there.
Yeah.
But for me, the insight was getting inside the cabs and finding out what they'd done on the inside. And in Westport, there was a guy there that from America had imported his own special things for his Western Star truck. He wanted to have stuff that no other Western Star owner had.
So did you do all the photography as well?
Yes, certainly did.
Was this really a solo mission around the country to talk to all these truckers?
Yeah, I'm a very social person, but when I hit the road, I like to go on a solo mission, absolutely. Camera in hand, notebook in the other hand, and very much it's like cold calling. I just like to walk up, meet them, find out who they are. Some didn't make it into the book because it didn't say much, but those that were prepared to open up and give of themselves.
Most people do open up.
They do.
Yeah.
And I think some of them do miss the era before tighter company, legislation. They don't pick up hitchhikers like they did in the early 80s or the 70s, when you could thumb a ride with a driver and get to know them. I think now you've got to meet them in their line of work or at a truck stop.
Excellent. Well, the two books are out now. There could be great Christmas gifts, actually. These, wouldn't they?
Go for it. Advertise them.
Yeah. Trucker's Guide to Life, Journey into Heartland, New Zealand, and also Zephyrs and Zodiacs, A Kiwi Passion. Tim Chadwick, So good to have you on the show.
Thank you.